question 1. And question 1, it says that Emma is working at the square selling fruit. She works for 2.5 hours. And she earns 140 kronas. So who would like to be my calculator person? When I say do a calculation, you just put it in and shout out the answer. Okay, so we know then, we want to know how much will she earn in 3.5 hours? Well, in order to calculate that, the first thing we have to work out is what her hourly rate is. If she earns 140 kronas in 2.5 hours, her hourly rate will be the amount she earned divided by the number of hours she had.
56.
Which is 56 kronas per hour. Super good here if you put a formula that her hourly rate will be the total amount of money she earns divided by the number of hours. We know that her hourly rate is going to be kronas per hour. So we would expect kronas to be on the top and hour to be on the bottom. So we know that she earns 56 kronas per hour, and then she uses that hourly rate and instead works 3.5 hours to get the amount that she earns equals hourly rate times number of hours worked. So it's going to be 56 kronas per hour multiplied by 3.5 hours.
196.
We notice that hour cancels with hour here, hour divided by hour. It's going to give us an answer in kronas, which is what we were expecting. And it's 196 kronas. So here we've got all our formulas, we've got all our units the whole way through correctly. We've finished off with kronas, we've even shown that our hour units cancel here. So, which is really how I would like to see it. Okay, and this is paper 2009. And it's the D paper that we're doing now. So that was question 1. Nice and easy to warm you up, get you into the swing of maths. Then it says we've got 3 people sharing a pizza. We have Emma, we have Dennis, and we have Layla.
Wendy.
Yeah.
Points.
We do the points afterwards, just to go through the answer now. So we know that, what do we know? Well, we know that Dennis eats twice what Emma does. And we also know that Layla eats what Emma and Dennis eat. So she eats just as much as them. But we also know that all of them together, Layla plus Emma plus Dennis, equal 1 whole pizza. So what we could do, there's different couple of ways of doing this. We could solve it with algebra, or we could actually think that if Layla's eating 1 part, we know that Dennis is eating 2 parts because he eats twice as much as Layla. Start with the smallest one. And Emma eats what these 2 eat together.
No.
So Emma,
No.
Oh, the other way around.
Yeah.
Is it Emma eats 1 part?
Yeah.
And Layla eats 3 parts. She eats what Emma and Dennis eat together. So we've got 6 parts to the pizza. So of the 6 parts, we know that Emma must eat 1/6. Dennis must eat 2/6, which is the same as 1/3. And Layla, so that's Emma, and then Dennis. And Layla eats 3/6, which is the same as 1/2. You could solve it with algebra as well if you want to. We know that L equals E plus D. So where we see E plus D here, we could just replace it with L. So we would get 2 lots of L equals 1. Therefore L equals 1/2. Divide both sides by 2. It gives us that Layla equals 1/2. If we know that Layla equals 1/2, we know that the other 2 equal 1/2. So we've got to just split that into 3. We know then that Emma eats a third and Dennis eats twice as much. So you can solve it with algebra, but in this particular case, it was easier to do it in terms of how many parts they all eat. Then we're going shopping at a market, and they've got lots and lots of prices here in the picture that you can look at. And then it says, what do you think they've done if they've got a calculation like this? 3.5 times 12 equals 40.8. And here you just have to look at the picture. And when you look at the picture, there's actually only one item that costs 12 kronas. And there's nothing that costs 3.4 kronas. So it must be that this one is the weight and this is the price per kilo. So 12 kronas per kilo, that was apples. How many kilos does she buy? She buys 3.4 kilos at 12 kronas per kilo. If we multiply 3.4 by 12, we get 40.8. Here we have kilos divided by kilos, so the kilos would cancel, giving us an answer in kronas, which is what we would expect. So to say what she's done here, she'd have to have bought 3.4 kilos of apples at 12 kronas a kilo, and she needs to pay 40.8 kronas. She's supposed to pay. She's selling them. Okay, she's selling them. Yeah. When she's selling the fruit. So she's working out the amount that the customer has to pay. Okay, then in part B then, we have 50 minus 2.5 times 18. We don't know which is kronas and we don't know which is kilos, but we do know that there's only one item that costs 18 kronas per kilo, and that was bananas, I think. Oranges, sorry. So oranges cost 18 kronas per kilo, and there was nothing that cost 2.5 kronas. So we know that this one has to be the weight. So that means we have 2.5 kilos of oranges at 18 kronas per kilo. That's how much she had to pay. So what would this 50 be doing there? Well, it would be the amount that she pays with. We don't have, this ends up being 45 kronas. She maybe didn't have the right change, so she paid with a 50 krona note, and Emma's working out how much money she has to give in return. 50 minus 45 is 5 kronas. So she has to give 5 kronas back to the customer. So that's what you would expect to discuss there. Then we have a percentage change question, where we are looking at, if we buy a whole watermelon, it's going to cost us 10 kronas per kilo. But not many of us eat a whole watermelon, so they've given us another option where we can buy half a watermelon. And that's to show the seeds inside, okay? And half a watermelon costs 15 kronas per kilo. So here's a whole, and here's a half. And the question is, how many percent cheaper is a whole watermelon compared with the half? So the important thing is here to remember, compared with the half. The one that's being compared with is the one where the price goes on the bottom. So percentage change is the difference in price divided by the one we're comparing with times by 100 to change it into percent. So the difference in price between a whole kilo would be 15 minus 10 divided by the one we're comparing it with, which was the half, so the 15 krona is to go on the bottom, times 100, which will give us 33.3% recurring, approximately 33%. Always round off percentages to whole percentages, unless there's a particular reason for keeping it for, to many decimal places. So 33% more expensive to buy. Don't forget to answer the question. Don't just finish at 33% here. Remember to say that the half a watermelon is 33% more expensive than a whole watermelon. So must answer the question. Half melon.
When they get 33% cheaper, the
big one.
Oh, it's the, sorry. How much is the cheaper compared with the half? The whole watermelon. Thank you. Whole melon is 33% cheaper than the half. Okay? And then question 5. Now we've moved over to kiwis instead. And it's fairly typical that they don't sell kiwis by the kilo. They usually say 3 kiwis for 10 kronas or something like that. And that's what this question says. 3 kiwis for 10 kronas. 1 kiwi, an average kiwi, because of course they weigh different amounts, approximately 60 grams. And the question is, work out the kilo price. So the weight, the price per weight. Okay, so we need to know what 3 kilos kiwis weigh. So we get 60 times 3 equals 180 grams, which is the same of, so the weight of 3 kilos kiwis equals 180 grams equals 0.18 of a kilo. So if we change it directly to kilograms. And then we take the price of the kiwis divided by the weight of the kiwis. And that will give us the price per weight. So we know that the price of the kiwis was 10 kronas. And those 10 kronas only weighed 0.18 of a kilo. That will give us the krona per kilo, which is 55.5 recurring kronas per kilo. So we can say that that's approximately 56 kronas per kilo. So the kiwis weigh approximately 56 kronas per kilo. Take the price of all the kiwis that you've got divided by the weight, so you get the price per kilo instead. Then we've got Dennis. Dennis is riding a bicycle from one side of the square to the other. Yeah, brilliant bicycle here, isn't it? Yeah.
Är det inte 55,5 kronor per kilo eftersom det är 2009 som har 50 öre?
No, but we don't need to worry about that. I don't think we need to split hairs here. 56 kronas a kilo will be fine. We'll go through the points later. I think that we removed the 50 euro a bit more than before that. Anyway, we have a bicycle, and we have the diameter of a bicycle. We often measure the diameter of a bicycle in inches. So we have 27 inches is the diameter of the wheel. And they'd like to know how long it takes us to go from this side. So this guy is measuring the length of the square. He's starting here and he's going all the other way to the end of the square. And it's getting 18 turns of his wheel. And the question is, how long is the square? Well, in order to work out that, we need to first work out what's the distance travelled when the wheel has gone the whole way round, from this point all the way around there. So we've got to use our formula for circumference equals 1 turn of the wheel. And we use the formula pi times the diameter. but the diameter is in inches. So the first thing we'd have to do is convert that into centimeters. 27 times 2.5, is it 1.4 they've given you? No, 5.4. 2.54. So if we multiply 3.14 times 27 times 2.54, we get how many centimeters the bicycle wheel turns for one turn. And that gives us 68.58 centimeters, which is 68.6858 meters. So that's what one turn of the wheel is. 18 turns of the wheel then will be 18 multiplied by 0.6858, which is 38.76 meters. And then we can round off to a reasonable number of meters. You can keep it as one decimal place here, 38.8 meters or 39 meters. So that's how long it takes for him to bicycle 18 wheel lengths from one end of the square to the other. So 18 wheel lengths. And then we have a question about darts. What do we know? It is David who is shooting darts, and he has got the following points: 8 in his first throw, 8 in his second, 3 in his third, 6 in his fourth, and he was outside in his fifth. And the first question's quite easy. It's what's his average score? Average score is total score divided by number of throws. Equals. How many throws has he done? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Very important you add the 0. He made 5 throws. He didn't get a point on it, but he actually, that will bring his average down quite a lot. So you must divide by the number of throws. So we get 25 divided by 5, which is 5. So his average number of points was 5. Now, he would like to have an average over 7. So the second time, well, he did some throws, maybe after his, the second time he did throws. The first one he got was 8, and then he got a 9, and then he went down with a 6. What would he need in A and B to reach his target? He's going to have 5 throws, and he wants an average of 7. That's what he's aiming for. Okay, so we know that if we divided the total that he got by 5, we'd get an average of 7. So let's look what, so we need to multiply both sides by 5, and then we get rid of the 5 down here. So 5 divided by 5 is 1. So we know that we're trying to get a total of 35. What do we have here? 17, 22. 23. Plus A and B. So we know that A and B together have to add up to be 23. So now we know that A and B together minus 23 on both sides is 35 minus 23. When we move this 23 over to the other side, it becomes a minus sign. So we get the A and B together. So his last 2 throws have to add up to 12. There is no 12, so we can't have that, and there is no 11, so he can't have that. So we have to start at his possibilities for A and B are 10, 2, 9, 3, 8, 4, 7, 5, 6, 6, and vice versa. Okay, he could have got 5-7 as well, or 4-8. It doesn't really matter which order he got them in. It's what final points he got. So we need to find a final total that gives us 12 points, so that he will get his average of 8. So he needs at least 12 points in his last throws if he wants to reach his goal. And then we just don't forget to answer the question as well. So answer in words what conclusion you got, not just simplify it like I've done here.